Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anime Dojo. I'm Bobsamurai, you all know me. Here today we have my special guest, SSJ Goshen 4.
Hey guys, this is SS Goshen 4 as he said, and I'm really excited to be doing this video with Bob here. So why don't we just get straight into this?
Dragon Ball Z Fukatsu no F was a movie that I was very skeptical with from the very beginning. I saw the trailers, I saw that Frieza was returning, despite the fact that he was one of my favorite villains from Dragon Ball Z. I was very skeptical about that. Also about the blue hair, it felt like they were just trying to make a lot of fan service, make it very catchy, just something to appeal to the fans. Is it that way? Let's find out. But let me know your thoughts about going into this movie, Stephanie.
Well, I was of course hyped about it. I mean, yeah, the different hair colors and of course different transformations, can get a little overkill, but I definitely saw that blue hair and I thought I like it better than the red hair, so I was pretty hyped about that. And of course Frieza is my favorite DBZ villain, so just to see him come back, in my opinion, was great for me because I can't get enough of Frieza, in my opinion. So I was optimistic really for the movie. Because I enjoyed Battle of Gods, so I couldn't wait to see what they were going to do next. So I was pretty optimistic about it.
So it looks like we have a pretty good split here. It's like two heads of the same coin with this, and basically getting started with the story here. Usually what I do in my reviews, I'll just break it all down, but for Battle of Gods, I think we all know what the deal is with this, with the story and the characters. It's a story we know, it's the characters we know already, so let's just get into talking about the movie itself. Do you want to explain the basic premise of the story here?
Well, it is kind of pretty simple. Frieza, of course, returns, and he is going to battle Goku. Why? For vengeance. And, I mean, is there really that much to say besides that? Because that's the main plot.
We know what Frieza's gonna do. He's gonna fight Goku. He's not gonna be one of his friends or anything. And, of course, we assume that Goku's gonna save the day because Dragon Ball Z has a big history with that. So, it's very straightforward. It's obvious what the story's gonna be about, and I think that everybody out there, they really have a basic understanding of what the movie's gonna be before they actually ever watch it. But the basic setup for how Frieza comes back is one of Frieza's henchmen, which was Sorbet. He goes down to Earth, he gets Pilaf and his henchmen to help him out to find the Dragon Balls, which for some reason are completely unguarded now. I mean, if it was me, and if I had the ability to just teleport around the world, and there was Dragon Balls there that could mean the end of all humanity, I would probably want to keep them on a close wrap. I'm just saying. But they find the Dragon Balls, they wish Frieza back to life, and that's how it happens. What'd you think about this?
Well, it's kind of true. I mean, the fact that they had it already, and it seemed like it was so easy to get them. And like you said, I mean, shouldn't it be something that's like pretty sacred because one wish could just end the world almost? I don't know. Just they didn't really explain to some of the things that were going on, or that it's just like how it was so convenient. Some of the stuff was just a little too convenient. I mean, I enjoyed it overall, but just of course there's some little nitpicks for me. Do you have any examples of that?
Well, basically, I guess in a defense of the beginning part where they do find the Dragon Balls, I think that it's necessary for them to just automatically have them like that. It is rather convenient, but I felt the beginning, the introduction of the story, it dragged on a little bit. They did what they could to properly introduce the setting of the story, to set up the plot for everything that was going to happen with Frieza's return, but it definitely was lacking in comparison to Battle of Gods, which everybody is comparing this to. So as Frieza's return back to life, I felt it was kind of weird here because they're granted two wishes by Shenron, and one of them was just completely wasted. I felt that this was a recycled joke from the original Dragon Ball series. We all remember one of the iconic Dragon Ball moments where Oolong runs up and he wishes for panties. Everybody remembers that. This one, I can't remember the dog's name. I'm sure people will tell me in the comment section, but he runs up. Shu, yeah, okay. She knows her Dragon Ball. She is much more knowledgeable about Dragon Ball than I am. It's definitely her passion, and she's the expert at it. It's great stuff there. But Shu runs up, he ruins the wish, and basically just wished for money. Now, the thing about this wish that I really had an issue with, mostly was that we were granted two wishes. One of them was bringing Frieza back in chunks. Like, they couldn't bring him back his full body. They explained a rule here where Frieza couldn't be brought back because it had been so long they had to give him back in chunks, but that, to me, that felt like something they made up that was very convenient here, just to become a plot device to get Frieza off of Earth. Because think about it like this: the second wish could have been used to bring Frieza back to life, firstly, but secondly, he could have just been brought back to life whole. Think about the time when Boo destroyed the Earth and everybody was wished back. They weren't wished back as dust, they were wished back with their original form. Now, granted, there's the whole date thing, but I felt that was just made up on the spot. And secondly, if they could just bring Frieza back automatically, then there would be no reason for them to go on the spiel about how their technology is improved, because ultimately that's irrelevant aside from the fact of them bringing Frieza back to life.
That's true. And then they were talking about how they also, maybe they could have used that wish to bring back King Cold, which, I mean, why would they even want to make that wish for? I mean, they could have used that wish to, make him in one piece, you know?
That could have been, or they could have just wished for other stuff. Honestly, in my opinion, I think some of the strengths of Dragon Ball are with its new characters. As we see with Whis and Beerus, these are characters that I actually like, and the same goes with Jacko, we'll get to in a bit. Yeah, they're great characters, and I think that we need a fresh air into this series. And when we have the same characters that keep coming back, they're all going to act the same. They don't have any real development to their characters. They've been the same characters for decades now, and I think it's just time to bring some new life into the series that aren't just kids of somebody else. So basically, the entire conflict of the story is set up around, obviously, it's Frieza fighting everybody. Frieza is returned back to life, but he is actually a bit weaker, so he needs to train.
Well, I mean, I do like the fact that, you know, they did, of course, fight in general. I mean, I like to see Roshi fight. I thought that was pretty cool. That was a standout for me because, we don't really see him do that much. And of course, Jacko. Now Jacko's in this, and I love him. Like, he was like a standout for me because I really do like his character. He's like really witty, you know. So
yeah, very witty.
Yeah, I like to see him. I like seeing him in action, actually. So, I mean, I do like that whole fight sequence. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, they could have done a little bit more with them, because, of course, I like seeing the side characters a lot, you know, and most of this, I feel like, was, of course, Goku and Vegeta and all that.
This movie is basically split between two different scenes. There's the fight scenes and then there's the comedy. And there's basically only two different fights, so it may feel like it's a lot shorter than it actually is, but to me, when, you know, I wasn't really feeling going into this movie, it felt like it was a lot longer. The first fight that we see is actually between all of the Z fighters and all of Frieza's henchmen. As they come down, it's about 1,000 of them. They all fight. As a DBZ fan, I found the fights somewhat enjoyable. Honestly, my favorite parts here were just going to be with my favorite characters anyways, and that's really all that the movie is. It's total fan service. If you're looking for that sort of thing, then by all means. But honestly, I felt like even as a Dragon Ball fan, and I'm pretty sure to some extent Stephanie here can agree, that it is definitely a lot of fan service, and a lot of it has changed. It feels like they're targeting a different audience. But with this fight, obviously, my favorite characters are Roshi and Piccolo. Those were my favorite characters to watch. However, it was kind of strange. How come we had Yamcha at one point fighting against enemies that were, obviously they were much weaker than the ones that we're seeing here, but now we see Master Roshi fighting when we never saw him fighting anyone before, unless it was in the original Dragon Ball, obviously, because he's old and he doesn't need to. It was just total fan service.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, it's because how people say things with Dragon Ball now. That's what it kind of seemed like to me. I don't know. Like, you know, how, you know, people say that Yamcha's kind of weak and useless and he dies. That's why they kind of pushed him aside for this fight. That's what it looks like to me. And then people love to see Roshi and they love to see him in action, so that's why they added him to that.
That is true.
Which is not really totally bad, because, I mean, they obviously are trying to please the fans, I guess, with that, right? So
it is true, but let's be honest here. A lot of the Dragon Ball community, it really takes a lot of this stuff a lot seriously. I mean, I'm taking this stuff kind of seriously just to criticize it, but there are a numerous amount of people that take it just as seriously in favor of it. The people that believe that the power levels exist and that they believe, I believe that they're total bullshit, honestly. But
Yeah,
here we see Roshi. Yeah, here we see Roshi fighting against these guys, and it really blows power level out of the water. It just doesn't mean anything at this point. That's just the way I feel about that. Jacko, on the other hand, I did kind of skip over the part with Jacko when he returns.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, because I want to talk about his character. What do you think about the character of Jacko when he first came down to warn Bulma about Frieza's return?
Well, I feel like if you have not read the manga that has to do with him, you kind of would be a little lost because you don't even know who the heck he is, and he kind of just comes out of nowhere, and he's just in the story, And even not knowing his backstory, I feel like you can enjoy him, because he's just a good character. His personality and the way he comes off, he's pretty funny. And I feel like he's funny when he's not even really trying to be funny, which I really like about him, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, definitely.
And that's the only thing that I don't really understand is that you kind of have to read his backstory to understand that whole concept of him even coming to Earth or knowing Bulma and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, you're right, but to an extent I kind of disagree with that because I feel that his personality was actually pretty fleshed out. Obviously, these characters aren't really going to have a certain level of depth that you may expect to find in a story that takes itself a lot more seriously, but it's true, Dragon Ball doesn't really take itself that seriously. And Jacko is a character. His jokes actually work with his personality to tell you what type of guy he is. He's pretty sly, he knows he's not the strongest guy out there, and he's going to back down whenever he wants to. Not necessarily when he needs to, but if he feels like backing down, he's just going to do it. He's not cowardly, that's just the way that he is. And aside from just the whole notion of there being a galactic patrol, I felt that those details were a bit lost in this series, aside from the fact that they'd simply just say it. I know little about that whole job title that he has, so it works where it counts, I feel.
That's true.
But
he's a good character, though. I really do. Overall, most of the people that I did talk to after the movie said they really did enjoy Jacko, so...
I agree. Jacko was my favorite character of the movie, and I know I'm going to get a bunch of people to dislike and leave right now, but I felt that Jacko was a breath of fresh air in a sea of stagnant nostalgia. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say completely, just it's all nostalgia, and Jacko's, I don't know. I mean, Jacko was definitely, really stand out, but I also like Beerus and Whis. A lot.
I agree. I like their characters too.
I do. I really like their characters a lot. I liked what I saw in Battle of Gods, and I mean here they don't really have too much. I guess I don't know if you want to get into about them too.
Well, the way I felt about Whis and Beerus, overall I like their characters. I like who they are. About their power, that is the last thing on my mind when I think about these characters. They're funny. They work, but I felt in this movie, the jokes were the same thing that we saw in Battle of Gods. They're just food jokes. I mean, sure, the characters like to eat. It's shown in anime, all the characters like to eat. But there's more to comedy than that. If you look at all the other characters here, even with Jacko has layers of different types of comedy where he's funny, and maybe he's a cowardly character, or he's a character to get easily distracted in certain other situations. There's different layers of personality, and I guess to an extent you could say that Beerus is lazy, and that comes off as being funny, where he'll sneeze and blow up the planet, but that was kind of a plot device in my opinion, in order to bring in the special ability that Whis has, where you can just, we'll talk about that in a bit, because that's ending
true.
Related.
That's true.
Yeah. So as far as the fight goes, that major fight that we had, it was like 30 minutes long, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That 1,000-man fight.
Which one? Which fight?
The 1,000-man fight. Well, there were two fights here. They're both about 30 minutes long.
Yeah, they were both long. They were both...
Yeah.
Which I did like. I liked that the fights were much longer than Battle of Gods, because I felt like that battle was just really short. It went by really quick,
Yeah. Really, I know what I have to say in that regards. It really doesn't hold a whole lot of weight because technically this is an anime which focuses heavily on fighting, but I felt that I would rather see the comedy. A lot of people out there, they looked at me crazy, like, what, Battle of Gods is one of your favorite Dragon Ball anime? It is, because of the comedy. I really love the dinner party that they had.
I like the comedy.
Talking about how much...
I really do like the comedy, too. It's a good part of it.
See, it's a dinner party in a fighting anime. You wouldn't expect to really find it that enjoyable, but it's just the characters and their interaction as well as the peel-off part in the beginning. And I felt in Dragon Ball... Fukatsu no F, they really liked the comedy, and the comedy that we did have was something I felt was recycled from a lot of previous Dragon Ball Z. And it's not something like, oh, you've seen a lot of other anime and it really doesn't make it funny. I've seen Dragon Ball, and, you know, the jokes are there. Dragon Ball Z for the most part. After this 30-minute fight, usually you'll have these long, drawn-out battles like that to wear down a character so that they'll be tired for the next match. Senzu beans, you know, just take a senzu bean, they're all good to go.
That's another thing that was pretty convenient, right? Senzu
very
beans.
Convenient.
But they happen to have a bunch of senzu beans for everybody.
Honestly, I felt like at the end of the day, the fight scene really had no weight to it. It didn't really do anything for the story. The characters started out fine, they killed 1,000 people that we've never seen before, and they ended up fine. Nothing happened, nothing gained, nothing lost there until Goku, well, not even then because nothing really happens, but Goku returns and he fights against Frieza. So one thing that really interested me in Battle of Gods was seeing this new tier of potential for Goku where he could train under the gods. I know it is kind of perpetuating the repetition within the series, but still, I am very nostalgic and I really do miss the parts where Goku was training under somebody. I thought, you know, Battle of Gods, they're getting back to the comedy, they might be getting back to the training. Some of my favorite moments were when Goku was training with Master Roshi, and then, actually, that's probably it. I don't really care for the comedy training that much, but...
Oh, King Kai.
Anyways.
The King Kai training.
Yeah, King Kai. Okay, yeah, I did really enjoy that. Okay. Wow.
It was pretty
Brain
fun.
fart.
That whole thing was...
Yeah, I need to take this DBZ shirt off. I don't deserve it. I forget
that whole training was fun, though, with King Kai. It was like a different kind. It was a funny kind of training.
Yeah. Very funny. What do you think about that, where they actually are training under them? Was this something that you had expected or something that you would look for?
I could totally see them doing that. Because, what other way is there for Goku to even improve his powers or his skill to train under them? Because, you know, they are one of the most, or the most powerful guys, I guess, that they've ever faced, or they even know. So...
For now.
Yeah, for now, at least. So, I think it's pretty cool to see them train under gods. I mean, how badass is that, train under a god?
For the most part, I felt like the training... It was just an aesthetic here. The characters, for them to get stronger without anything really changing. And that's the way that I ultimately felt about these new forms, about the God Saiyan form, about the blue hair, which, you know, is technically really not that big of a deal. I know some people were saying that. I just felt like it was a different color. The speed was the same, the power was the same. The only real difference with the new power that they have is just with the animation effects around them. The size of their aura is different, it's more violent. There's a lot more rocks and everything flying around, and really that's the major differences with that. So we see Goku and Vegeta, they're training, and of course Frieza's training as well for 6 months. That we do not see at all. What do you think about that? Wasn't that kind of weird to not see any of that?
Well, in my opinion, I feel like there's only so much they can really show in the movie regarding the training with Goku and Vegeta, and also with Frieza, because I feel like they're saving that for Super, in my opinion. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely agree with parts of that, but the way I feel about it is, we just had this fight that was like 30 minutes long. There's a lot that could have happened within the story there. Granted, I enjoyed certain parts of that fight, even though mostly I felt like it was just filling time in the story. There's a lot of fluff there, but we could have seen more in regards to the story with that. So that's just the way I feel about that. But I also know from previous videos where everybody tells me in the comment section, and there's actually this spin-off chapter or something where it actually shows Frieza training, and I have a big pet peeve about that. I don't think it's fair to the viewer to have to go outside to a different medium to experience a small part of a story. I think it should just be included. Granted, you're right, this is just a movie, but there are times where they noticeably waste time here. So, that's just the way I feel. Certain things can be added, certain things can be removed.
Yeah,
That's just
true.
me.
I feel like I know what you mean. Like some of the things are just kind of said and not really shown.
Yeah, definitely. You should definitely show things. But, of course, after this, I know we're just going point by point here, but Goku returns to Earth in the nick of time. Now, wasn't it weird? Beerus woke up. No matter what it was that woke Beerus up, he sensed for Frieza's power level. He couldn't find it. He couldn't find
That's
Frieza's
true.
power anywhere. So how come this entire time we had Whis and Beerus and all of the other characters, which are, they're not quite on the same level, but we have Vegeta and Goku, which are much stronger. They're probably strong enough to sense power, as we can see where Goku instant transmissions down to Earth. Nobody knew that Frieza was down there just wrecking everything on Earth, blowing up entire cities, which nothing really happened with. Just thousands of people died right there. But we don't see any of that, and I thought it was very convenient that they didn't know. Well, it was more of a plot hole than anything else. And then eventually they find out. But Goku...
It's just to move the story around Earth. I feel like they did that obviously for some kind of story purposes also.
Yeah.
Bulma can, do that whole thing and maybe have a couple of jokes in between, you know what I'm saying?
That is true. I know you're a big fan of DBZ. You've been a fan of DBZ for a long time, and we've pretty much seen almost the exact same thing. I still haven't seen GT yet. We've seen all the movies, we've seen all the series, and we're pretty much in the same boat here as far as what we've seen. What do you think, how this movie compares to all of the other DBZ movies? Do you think that it was written with the same quality that was put into the basic plot here as the other movies? What do you think about that?
Well, I didn't really realize it until you said it about how there really isn't too much, I guess, that this movie does for the story. I didn't really think about that until you said it. And it kind of makes sense.
The wonders of peer pressure.
Well, but it kind of makes sense though, because you were saying how, you feel like Battle of Gods kind of did something for the story and, made it more kind of interesting with new characters and everything, but this one was kind of just on the surface, like a basic movie. Which is really, like, it's crazy to think about it because I didn't think about it watching it, but now that you're telling me, I can totally see that. And the other movies, kind of, those movies though didn't really play part of into the DBZ actual timeline.
You're right.
So
you're right.
It's kind of different, but these two movies are part of Super. That whole thing is kind of, I don't really know yet because the series is still going. But based off it being a separate movie entirely, maybe not part of the series, I feel like, I don't know, the other movies probably had a little bit, like, more, actually not a little bit, like some of the, like the Broly movies, they had a lot of background and a lot of like,
they did?
Yeah, a lot of like character development and a lot of like really interesting things. That's why a lot of people love Broly too. Not just because he's some big ass guy, but just the background and how the movies are. Those movies are really good, in my opinion. Some of them, some.
Yeah, definitely. Some of them are really good. I have my favorites from them. My favorite of all the old DBZ movies was, what was it, movie 13, when we had the Hitler, and I just love the art style and everything about that movie. And granted, the plot to any of them weren't really that great, but these were accessory pieces to the overall story, as where Fukatsu no F is something which is almost like a centerpiece, is something to build from in the new series. And I just can't help but see it as a commercial in any way, just to get people hyped up for it, in my opinion.
Are you saying get people hyped up for Super?
Yeah, for Super.
And
maybe future movies. So before we're getting into the final fight with Goku and Frieza, we were talking about some of the major differences that we found as far as basic writing in general, the plot and the character interaction here. We found major differences between this and Battle of Gods, as well as pretty much a lot of other things in DBZ. I looked it up, and it's actually, there's the director there, and I know a lot of people are saying that Akira Toriyama is working on this, but everywhere I'm looking, Akira Toriyama, for both Battle of Gods as well as Fukatsu no F, did the screenplay as well as the character designs. And screenplay is short of basically a storyboard. He just comes up with a brainstorm idea and gives it to them, and then they work on the storyboard and everything. So for Fukatsu no F, the extent of the screenplay was probably, here's Frieza, and this is why he comes back, so you gotta fight him, and Jacko's gonna do this because whatever. So it's something that's very basic, and the director that we actually had has very limited directing experience. The only anime that he's ever directed where, I mean, a credit to him here because of one of my favorites, that is Path the Power, but it's technically a remake. And then there's also this other anime that I've never heard of before. It's an 11-episode anime, but the majority of his roles were actually character designs for Dragon Ball Z. And the same thing goes for Battle of Gods as well, where the director that we had there, he had a lot more directing experience than the current director of Fukatsu no F, which is probably why I felt that it was a better constructed movie than Fukatsu no F. But for the most part, I think that might be the reason behind why there's so many things just not working in Fukatsu no F.
Well, I mean, the people behind it, that definitely has a big impact on the movie itself, because if the person behind it is different, obviously the whole movie is just going to be different, just in general.
Yeah. So, what did you think about the final battle here? I'm going to get into this in a bit. I'm curious to see what you thought about that.
I liked it because I just like the whole action in general. The whole fight scene I thought was really good. The part where you see the CGI, I thought it was really noticeable. I don't know if you noticed it.
I definitely noticed it, but I think, honestly, they did a really good job of blending the CG in with the animation, in my opinion. I mean, we're looking at this on massive screens here. When people watch it on their computers or their laptops or whatever, nobody's going to notice that with the official version. It's going to be scrunched together, so it may be less noticeable, or more noticeable.
Yeah,
but I felt they did a good job.
Yeah, it was definitely good. Because I know they did that in Battle of Gods as well. I noticed it too.
Yeah.
But anyways, the fight in general, I thought it was action-packed. I liked it. I liked that they had more action in this fight than Battle of Gods, but
that's true.
I feel like with this fight, there wasn't really much of a struggle, which in Battle of Gods there was, with Goku's transformation and everything. I feel like this transformation was just so easily done. Just so... I just didn't like that it was so easy for him to be beyond Super Saiyan God already, and there was really not too much background on it either. He just kind of turned into it. He just basically said, I'm able to be used to this power, and I'm able to be, stronger than what it was. That's really all
They basically said it.
Yeah, he basically just said it. It didn't really show much of a struggle turning into it. Neither did Vegeta, which I didn't really like. I would have liked it if they, had some kind of difficulty, but it would just...
You need to have a struggle for it to be really believable,
exactly.
And that's something I agree with. They didn't really have a struggle.
Yeah, exactly. Everything was just said. Nothing was really shown. Same with Frieza. Same with his transformation and his form and how he's, able to he's not really used to the power in that body or that form yet. And they kind of just said it. They didn't really show it too much. I mean, they kind of did, but not really. I feel like that's kind of little details were a little bit too, I guess, overlooked in a way, which I didn't like.
Very convenient, I agree, the fact that,
the
he had just gotten his
good.
power.
Don't get me wrong, the action was good, but like I said, there wasn't too much depth in the fight. Just action, basically.
Yeah, I agree. It was very straightforward. I felt it was very aesthetic. It was really no depth to it at all. It's just for looks, for the appeal, for the excitement of the fans, and to that extent, they did a great job of making an action-packed fight where it's very flashy, and that's really all that I felt the movie was, just very flashy. As far as the final fight for me goes, where Goku returns and starts fighting Frieza, if you've seen a DBZ fight, you've seen pretty much all the DBZ fights, in my opinion, and not really so much all of them, but we know what they consist of. You flash to one side, you flash to the other. Oops, Goku's behind you and he knees you, but you block it. And we see this, or when you push somebody up against the mountain, and you're breaking them through the mountain or the ground or whatever. We all know what to expect with this, and I felt that it really didn't give me anything new. We did have a new form, and I felt that even when they transformed, the transformations themselves, they weren't that energetic, but they even went out of their way to explain the fact that it's not really that big of a deal. So yeah, the transformations, they took a few lines just to say that it wasn't a big deal, as if they knew, like, what the people were thinking already with this, but I felt that they failed at creating an enjoyable Super Saiyan transformation here, which is something strange to hear from me probably, but when I think about Super Saiyan transformations, I think about just screaming and having this metal, not really metal, but like power rock in the background, something really fast-paced. But with this, it was more like classical music, and I know that is something that's more true to the original Japanese Dragon Ball, but I mean, come on, that's what we expect here. We're watching it in dub, we're watching it in theaters, that's what we expect. And that's what I expected. I was let down with that, and as you said, the transformation was very easy. Frieza's transformation, I also noticed how they flew down to the ground specifically so they can transform. Did you notice this? They could have transformed in the air, but if they did that, you wouldn't see the rocks explode around them. And this is something that really complements my next point, is that the power levels meant nothing. The transformations meant nothing. When they transformed, they did the exact same things that they were doing before. They could have stayed the same, which further proves the point that these were just to catch people's attention. What do you think about that? Did you notice all that? Or do you disagree?
Well, yeah, I totally get your point. I totally get, like, how everything was just kind of what I said already. Just, basic. Nothing.
It's basic. You heard it from Goshen here.
Well, you know what I mean. It's just so...
Yeah.
No, there was nothing really wow in it. But, I mean, the action was, like I said, that was, but transforming, like basically what I said before, the struggle, everything, it was just not there. It was just so easy, 1, 2, 3, okay, they're transformed. And, it's like, it almost felt like how he turned Super Saiyan, like how it's so easy for him to turn Super Saiyan, it was so easy to turn this.
It's easy. It felt like it was a part of the anime series, in my opinion, because they were just flipping on and off like a light switch in the anime. But of course, as a Vegeta fan here, I don't know how you feel about this, but again, they make Vegeta the bitch. As soon as they fly down the Earth, he just willfully takes his place on the sidelines. Okay, here's the person that killed my father, here's the person that killed my entire race of people, which you never know, and here's the person who left me with the only person in my species that I can't stand him at all. That's the way he feels about him. So he just watches them fight. He doesn't do anything. He steps in eventually.
I was feeling that too. Like, I actually, before even watching this movie, I thought that Vegeta was going to defeat Frieza. And that wasn't even the case. Like,
That's what everybody wanted.
Everybody thought that. And you know what?
They do him dirty.
Yeah, that did not happen at all. Like, it was just... I don't know, I'm just kind of like, don't even know what to say about that, because I was just like, what? I thought that was going to happen, and it didn't happen, and they kind of just brushed him off, like what they usually do with him, which is kind of annoying. And I felt annoyed, even though I'm not like the biggest Vegeta fan, I felt annoyed for the Vegeta fans, because I'd be like, what? This was his chance to shine, and like, he didn't. What the heck? He was about to,
You're exactly
but it didn't happen.
Yeah. They had the potential here. Like, there are movies out there, there are villains out there where Goku he wasn't the one to finally kill them all. Like, what does it matter who beats Frieza here? Bulma could have beat him for all I care. The story would have ended up the same. It ended up in this movie where nothing absolutely changes at all. It's just somebody comes back, we fight him, he's dead, and it's episodic. There's a city gone, but nobody's gonna know about that. And that's just the way I felt about it. Nothing really happened. Anybody could have killed him. Hell, Yamcha could have killed him. But Vegeta had his chance, and they did him dirty again. I know a lot of people are probably going to be irritated with that, but it is what it is. That's kind of what you get with Dragon Ball, always Goku. But anyways, let's talk about the ending. Actually, no, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about. That was Goku got killed, quotation marks. He got killed here. Just as soon as he was beating Frieza, one of his henchmen, what was his name? Sorbet?
Yeah, Sorbet.
He shot him through the heart. It was a hole in his shirt, over his heart, and one in the back.
That's true.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. If you get your heart pierced, you're gonna die. And there he was. Frieza was stepping on his wound. Like, I felt kind of like,
I think
man,
he's
are they
just
trying
that
to?
strong. He's just that strong, that he's able to
He's just
live.
that strong. His heart is an optional organ. He doesn't need that anymore. He's got spirit power. He's got his ki. What's the use of a heart? He can just make his blood flow through. I don't know.
But he has a god
But,
form now. Well, he wasn't god. He wasn't transformed at that point.
That's not how things work. You don't get pierced at the heart. Anyways, Senzu Bean. Senzu Bean fixes them all up. He's good to go, like it. Nothing even happened. Why couldn't he shoot him on the other side where it's more believable? Or why that even need to happen? I don't know. But anyways, he takes a Senzu Bean. He's back to normal. And Vegeta takes over. This was so... Oh my god, this was so stupid. Okay, Vegeta's actually winning for a bit. But this is a Frieza that had already been worn down by Goku. He'd been beaten up and... Vegeta makes very short work of Frieza, honestly. He beats him until his gold Frieza form goes away, and he gets ready to kill him. And I like this. He's saying, Goku is the type of person that'll give you mercy. I'm not, and you know that's true. So he's getting ready to kill him. So Frieza decides to one-shot the entire planet. What do you think about that? Like, he put his hand down, and boom goes the world. What do you think?
That's a lot of things that, like we were saying before, that's very convenient. It's just, why didn't he use that before? Why didn't he use that on something else before? What is that only?
He could have used that on one of the people.
Is that like only a last resort kind of attack? I don't really know. I have no idea.
We see Frieza here powering up, going to his gold Frieza form, and that takes effort, obviously, because it took a few minutes, and we both know that it's just for the fans to make it very flashy for his transformation, which is just a color change. It's a different outfit in Super Smash Brothers. Just press the Y button and you get Gold Frieza. But here we see that obviously his gold form didn't really hold a candle to the amount of power that it took to destroy the world. And he just touched his hand down, and boom, there goes the world within seconds. And that's not even really the worst thing about this scene here, because as soon as the world gets destroyed, Whis teleports everyone into outer space as they watch the world get destroyed. And I remember I was sitting there, like, I knew what was going to happen already. I was just sitting there like, okay, what's the audience reaction to this? There was no, there was no or anything. There was no suspense or anything, because I think people know that it's not going to end that way.
Oh yeah,
people know that already.
Of course. Like same with me when I was watching. It was just something everybody knew that was going to happen. It was expected, so there was no reaction.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's really interesting to hear, actually, that people just felt that way in different places.
Same with me. I didn't even have a reaction. I was just kind of like, I just watched it. Seriously, because I guess I kind of, expected that to happen.
Exactly. So eventually, in the end, Whis has this ability to turn back time for 3 minutes. He didn't do it to save his own life to begin with, because apparently he doesn't care, or he just is indifferent to it because of how strong he is, and his view on the galaxy. Earth is just a very small planet there, it's a very small speck. But he rewinds time for 3 minutes. Goku comes in, learning the lesson he should have learned 300 episodes ago, and blasts Frieza off the face of the planet. And, saves the day again. Vegeta gets pushed to the sideline. And it's so random, too, because Vegeta was just about to win. I mean, maybe it's the whole morality thing, because, they always have to show the good morality and the heroes. As we see Vegeta, he had the ability to kill Goku here. He could have done it, but he chose not to. It could have been that they didn't want to show Vegeta having some sort of vengeance killing. Maybe, I don't know. That might be thinking a bit too much into it, but there are clear morals here that they're trying to push on an impressionable audience by having characters that represent certain personality traits.
Maybe they're just waiting like a special moment for him to actually have this.
No, if it didn't happen yet, it's not going to happen, honestly.
I don't know.
even in GT, I've seen where he had to have the help of a machine to get to the next Saiyan level. And it's always... They're always treating him wrong, and it's always because he's the nobility. Like, nobility can never have actual talent in the real world. I don't get that. Sometimes people are born in a higher class or status than you, and sometimes they're just better at you than everything. They have better resources, always. If you have, if you have humble origins, then you're going to have less resources. But, again, it's the morality thing. So it's just a dumb ending overall. However, it's not exactly unexplained, because they do explain it very briefly earlier, as I mentioned, where Beerus, he sneezed and destroyed the moon of their planet, and he explained, well, he did this to our sons, and I just brought him back in 3 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that part.
Yeah, he said it there, because that part to me, because spoilers are going to happen, and I already knew everything that was going to happen in this movie. And that's not why I didn't enjoy it, but, I mean, just everything I've explained here. So, I'm glad that they explain it, but still, it doesn't really change the fact that it's just an ass-pull ending, and none of it even mattered. And even in the grand scope of things, we start off, there's no Frieza. We end off, there's no Frieza. And the characters really didn't gain anything in the process. As a viewer, I didn't really gain anything from watching this, aside from the appreciation of Jacko as a character. I felt that everything else here was just a recycle from everything else that we've seen, or certain new things were just reskins. And I felt that the comedy... So what did you think about the overall presentation quality? I'm talking like art and animation. What did you think about all of that?
Well, I think it looks beautiful. Animation looks so good. I mean, some of the best that we've seen, if not the best for Dragon Ball. I mean, everything, just the fighting looks great, the whole action scenes, and like we were saying, that CGI that they added, I think added to it. Added to the movie and to the animation. So, I think it looks really crisp and new and fresh. I love it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that this is a new approach to the animation here. Of course, it's something that we saw within Battle of Gods, but it's something that they improved upon with this. And I think they did a great job of not only making it look better, but of keeping the original style of all of the characters there. Everybody looks the same, nothing's really changed or anything, aside from the fact that its quality is just up a few more notches than it was within Battle of Gods, and even much more than we saw within the anime series. I think it all looks great. There's the CG there, which I notice it, I see that it's there, but I'm not complaining. And knowing me, I have a huge pet peeve for seeing CG in anime. It's something that I don't really like to see, but I think they did an amazing job with this. As far as the music goes and the voice acting, we definitely have to talk about the voice acting. I think that the soundtrack here was actually a bit lacking. It had 3 songs. We had Hetchala from the opening. We had the Maximum the Hormone song. The Frieza, everybody's heard that one. And then we had this almost like classical music song, which they played during Goku's transformation there, which I didn't really think fit. Otherwise, I think that the 2 songs that they had, aside from that, were pretty good, but they could have had more of a variety. What do you think about the soundtrack overall, if you have much of a thought on that?
Yeah, I feel like the Battle of Gods music was, I like them better, to be honest. Like, the main song when they were fighting, I really do like that one a lot, from Battle of Gods.
Yeah, I really can't remember Battle of Gods music that much, but I do remember that they focused more on the opening song in Battle of Gods. Yeah, they really rocked it then.
Yeah, so, yeah, I feel like they could have added maybe more upbeat, maybe a little bit more, music here and there. But it was alright. The transformation song was as well. They could have had, a more,
Yeah, definitely.
Better song.
What we expect when we see Dragon Ball Z here. As far as the voice acting, personally, I think they did an amazing job. I didn't really find any characters that felt out of place to me, but of course, I'm not the Dragon Ball expert here. I want to know what you think about this. What did you think about the voice acting? Because to me, I thought they did a great job.
Oh, they always do a great job. I think they always do a great job, in my opinion. I love them. I love their voices. They always try really hard, and you can just tell. You can just tell from their performances, how hard they try. They really give their all to the characters, And
they're definitely passionate.
Yeah, and I feel like they do that because, you know, they've been with these characters for like, what, 15 years now?
That is true.
So yeah, they just do great.
Did any characters change actors or anything like that?
Oh, the only one that obviously changed was Frieza. Different voice.
Yeah.
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 But I have no complaints because I thought that Chris Ayers did such a good job as Frieza. You know,
Definitely.
I was a little hesitant because, you know, nostalgic reasons. I really like Linda Young, but Chris Ayers really delivered it so good, and like, I don't know, it gave a different feel to Frieza completely. I saw Frieza a little differently with that voice. It just, I don't know, I really loved his performance a lot.
That's really interesting because for me, I felt that his voice was spot on. Like, whenever I think about Frieza, because Frieza has a very unique voice, and whenever I think about Frieza, that voice just fits right in.
That's so true.
To me, I haven't really seen Dragon Ball Z.
It's not too manly, too. It's not like too manly.
No, it's not.
You
no,
know,
but
it's good.
From my memory of Dragon Ball Z, it sounds the same. You know, I've only watched the series. I've probably seen that saga of Dragon Ball Z twice, so, you know, it's not that much enough to remember everybody's voice like that. But, yeah, definitely for the presentation, over the top, amazing, easily the best part of the film, or the most well-crafted part of the film, obviously. So I think they did a great job with that. Everything worked very well. In closing, do you have anything you wanted to add to this in closing?
Well, in the end, I did enjoy the movie. I mean, I can see it in different ways. I can see it in more, I guess, to go into detail. Yeah, of course it has its flaws. I mean, what doesn't have its flaws? But I like the fun, like, you know, just viewing it as it is another DBZ movie. You know, it definitely is, it was definitely meant for the fans, and I do appreciate that as well. I mean, I can see the flaws in it, but I do appreciate that they did do it for the fans, and you could tell obviously because of the fan service and everything. And I can appreciate a DBZ movie like that as well, and not really just looking into all the details. You know, I can overlook that and just enjoy the movie as a whole. To me, I don't know which one's better. I can't really say. Battle of Gods or this one, they're both good, and they both have their strengths and weaknesses, you know, in each movie. So
yeah, definitely. Personally, I think with this movie, even though I was looking at a lot of the details like this, I think at the end of the day, there's really going to be two types of people that are going to be watching it. There's going to be, you know, the people like me that are looking at the details. And honestly, if you're looking at the details like that, you probably don't even want to go watch it to begin with. And then there's the people that just want to enjoy it. But even though I can kind of see it from both perspectives here, because obviously Dragon Ball Z is a story that's meant to be enjoyed and not really thought about as far as Z goes. And still, I find that it's hard to really enjoy here because I do like Z. I do have, you know, a bit of history with that. As it is something that I've watched and enjoyed. This to me felt like a lot of rehashed material, in my opinion. And as someone who enjoyed Battle of Gods, in the end, I just have to say that if you just want to see fights and all you want is fights, then you're probably going to like this better, because the fights were a lot more action-packed than it was within Battle of Gods. But if you liked the characters, if you liked the comedy, if you just liked the story to it, you're probably going to like Battle of Gods more. That's just the way I feel about that. So take that with a grain of salt when you're picking what movie you want to watch, or if you're deciding whether or not you want to watch this movie. As a final score for this, I really didn't want to give it a final score just because I really can't grade it. Like, the characters, I've known them for so long, and it feels like the material, I've seen it for so long already. It's like I really can't base it off anything. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to give it a score too, right? 11 out of 10.
Over 9,000.
Over 9,000.
Over 9,000 out of 10. No, I don't really give scores. I just really say, if I like it, you know, I enjoy it. If I don't, I'll say that I didn't. But I honestly, my first time viewing it, I did enjoy it. As a whole, I did enjoy it. Overlooking some of the little details. So.
Well, I guess that sums it up. I guess in the end, I'd give the movie 5 Bulma butt cheeks out of 7 curling foreheads. I don't know. Leave me your comments in the comments section below if you liked it, if you hated it. Let us know your thoughts about our discussion here. If you enjoyed this video and if you enjoyed my special guest here, you can check her out at SSJGoshen4. She reviews a lot. Well, she talks about a lot of Dragon Ball stuff. Or actually, you can tell them yourself. What do you do on your channel?
Yeah, I do a lot of videos regarding just Dragon Ball in general. DBZ figures, that's my main thing, but I do just a little bit of everything. Reactions, news updates, just anything regarding Dragon Ball. So if you love DBZ, you'll love my channel.
Alright, this video can also be found on her channel, so for everybody there, I'm Bobsamurai. I review anime, and I have anime discussion videos. Occasionally, I talk about manga as well. So anyways, for everybody out there, thanks for all your support with the likes and comments and everything. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.